Hey everyone, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may remember that 1 year ago, around the same time, I purchased my first ever Chanel Tweed bag from Japan. It was in the sweet baby pink, which was a color I didn't yet have in my wardrobe. But when I received it, it was in worse off condition than advertised, so I decided to return it for a full refund. However, my love for Chanel Tweed has never wavered, so this year when the right opportunity came up, I finally added my first fabric bag to my collection. Multicolor raw edge trim flap bag, which is a combination of blue tweed and blue leather with silver hardware in size medium. Going off the serial number, I believe it's from a 2013 collection. As you know, I love looking at brand history, but since we've already covered that under my Chanel bag collection video, I'm going to skip that today. So instead, let's dissect this bag under 7 topics. The magic of tweed, other design features, accessories, quality, size and fit, my purchase story, and of course my verdict. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your day with me. Whether or not you're considering adding fabric or a tweed bag to your collection, I really do hope you find today's video useful. Let's get into it. As much as I love dabbling across bag brands and different bag styles, I must admit that I do have a special place in my heart and in my wardrobe for Chanel. Chanel is the only brand where I keep coming back for more. I currently own 3 bags, 2 of which are vintage, and you can see that I have a deep love for gold hardware and black leather. So here with my tweed bag, you can see that my 4th Chanel is a very dramatic shift. It's fabric, it's brightly colored, it's silver hardware. It's basically at the complete opposite end of the style spectrum. I personally love pieces which are timelessly feminine, which have a sense of quality and elegance. To me, that is imbued in Chanel's quintessential motifs: pearls, gold highlights, black and white palette, and tweed. Up until now, I've been able to inject all those classic Chanel pieces into my wardrobe. It was only tweed that I was lacking. So now it's time to focus on tweed. Dating back to 1924, Coco Chanel fell in love with the fabric after she borrowed some sportswear from her partner, the Duke of Westminster. Tweed is made of wool, and it's as comfortable as it is supple and sophisticated. Inspired by the colours of the Scottish countryside, Coco brought leaves and bits of earth to textile factories so that they could play with new colours instead of the traditional greens, violets and reds that were common for the time. It was Coco's signature brown tweed suit which launched the fabric into the spotlight. In the 1930s, Coco began mixing in silk, cotton and synthetic fibers like cellophane to make tweed lighter and also produce more surprising textures. Since tweed gets its iconic irregular look from different threads, it lends itself well to experimentation. The vertical weave in tweed can support up to 12 different threads, while the horizontal weave can support unlimited threads, so the possibilities are endless. Today, Chanel Tweed continues to be made just outside Paris, and they've also experimented with denim, chiffon, rubber, and feathers. I find tweed irresistible, not only because it's so Chanel, but also because it's the most action-packed fabric. It's got depth, it's got texture, there are millions of combinations, so finding your perfect tweed is like having your own unique fingerprint. Tweed is most iconic in a 2-piece suit, but I personally like to steer away from clothing just because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be this dress size forever, and there's a high chance of me soiling my clothes whenever I eat, whenever I drink, whenever I sit down. Of course you can clean it, but I personally don't like the thought of long-term accumulated maintenance costs. Plus, as gorgeous as a tweed jacket or a tweed skirt is, I do believe that clothing has a tendency to lose its wow factor when it's worn too much, especially when you wear the pieces together. So for that reason, I felt that a tweed bag compared to tweed clothing would have more versatility. This is when I knew that tweed in a handbag made absolute sense. I could combine my passion for the fabric with ultimate styling flexibility. There is nothing wrong with seeing the same handbag a dozen times as long as you keep reinventing your look and your accessories. Chanel offers tweed across the full spectrum of its bag designs every season. You just have to wait and see what they offer. However, I knew straight away that I wanted a tweed flap bag, not only because I love a hands-free option and medium is the proportional size for my height, but also because I find that tweed really reinvents a formal, elegant silhouette into instead something super fun and casual. I had eyed dozens and dozens of tweed flat bags, but it was only when I saw this bag that I knew immediately it was right for me. A major factor was color. I wanted to stay away from monochrome because I felt that it would be too similar to my existing 3 black bags. Yet when I looked at the rainbow of tweed colors on offer, I felt that many of them were too bright, too random, too crazy to actually work with my wardrobe. Last year when I fell for the baby pink tweed flat bag, it was because I could see it working with my super feminine pieces, my white jumpsuits, my pastel lace dresses, even my angel wing shoes. I would be embracing my inner princess, although fate ultimately decided that the princess path was not right for me. Every year I find that our style keeps evolving, and for me personally, it's that I finally love and understand denim. It's amazing how long it's taken me. I found this blue tweed bag at the perfect time. Not only does the blue shade and the silver hardware look like it was made for pairing with denim, but the tweed pattern and the blue leather actually look like denim. So I could easily pull off double or triple denim looks thanks to this bag. Or I can go in the complete opposite direction and pair this textured bag with neutrals so that naturally the bag becomes the focus. When I was searching for my tweed bag, the major factor which held me back was how durable the fabric would be long term. It was pretty clear looking at pre-loved bags that tweed is prone to damage, mostly among the corners where it rests on surfaces and also at the back where it rubs against your clothing. This is why it felt like fate had directed me to this bag, because the hard-wearing blue leather is placed exactly where you need it to minimize unwanted contact with the tweed. This means I can get my dream bag without having to sign up for nasty future maintenance issues. In the same way, dirt naturally sticks more to fabric pores than leather, so it makes a lot of sense that the shoulder straps are in leather. In terms of colour, I find the blue quite cheerful, and in terms of maintenance, the tweed is dark enough to resist minor stains and minor marks. The point of interest at the back of the bag is the leather pocket, which has tweed inside. There's also a zipped pocket inside the bag, but this time tweed is the external feature and blue leather features inside. So it is playful how they keep alternating these two materials. Finally, I am really excited that my 4th Chanel bag features silver hardware, not only because silver is perfect for casual attire and it complements the blue tones, but also because as a collector, I feel like I'm ticking a box and I'm finally owning the other super classic hardware option in my Chanel collection. My handbag came with the box, authenticity card and care instructions. Every brand tends to. This box is the same as what came with my vintage jumbo from the 1990s, prior to Chanel switching to the magnetic boxes. Chanel is not shy about telling you up front that tweed is a delicate material and should be treated with extra care. While I love the look of tweed, I must admit that the feeling takes a little bit more time to get used to. It's got thickness, yet it's light. It's soft, yet can feel slightly rough. It's malleable, yet can also hold its shape. It's definitely a complex fabric. In terms of quality, it is quite normal that your tweed can develop some stray hairs at the edges, so you do need to resist the OCD tendency to want to snip them. This pre-loved bag was marketed as scentless, although I have to admit it has a faint floral smell. Non-synthetic fibers absorb moisture, which therefore means they absorb scents over time. You would have probably noticed this with clothes in your wardrobe or those at the second-hand store. They all carry a mild smell. Unfortunately, the listing didn't clarify what type of leather is used in this bag, although I'm going to guess that the straps are most likely lambskin, which is standard. And therefore, if that's the case, it would make a lot of sense if the rest of the leather is also lambskin to match. The surface is smooth with a tiny bit of texture from the natural grain of the leather, and I am really grateful for this because I believe it will help to conceal any future accidental markings and also better suits the casual texture of the tweed. As much as I believe the textured leather suits the aesthetic of the bag, I don't believe it's as effective in the chain straps. These wrinkles tend to collect the dirt from your hands, and I'm also worried that over time the color can wear away more easily at these stress points. Unfortunately, this tiny detail was hard to tell from the online listing, even with the zoom-in photos. It shows that sometimes you can only understand these factors when you're holding the real product, the real bag in your hands. When it comes to hardware, you can never avoid micro scratches, but otherwise the silver is close to perfect and shiny. There are slightly deeper scratches on the turn lock, which I'm going to guess is because since it sticks out from the bag, it may have accidentally bumped into surfaces. While vintage Chanel is gold plated and can wear away over time, which reveals a different colored metal underneath, I do believe that Chanel today uses polished metal throughout. So aside from general wear and tear, there shouldn't be any issues of color deviations. It's never easy making a raw edge look neat, so overall Chanel has done a great job with the tailoring, stitching and hemming of this bag. At first glance, I thought there was no lining, but that's not actually true. The tweed is double layered on the front flap and back. At the front, it's a combination of tweed with leather lining behind, and it's a double leather lining for the sides and bottom of the bag. I have to admit, design-wise, this isn't as clean as what Gucci did with their Dionysus bag. For those of you who watch my YouTube review, you may remember me saying that every surface which is canvas on the outside is suede on the inside and vice versa. It was a really clear and beautiful play of materials. Meanwhile, this Chanel bag is a bit more jumbled in its material philosophy. It's especially at 2 points in the bag where the lining is a mix of tweed and leather with a raw, most likely glued edge, that I am concerned as to the long-term wear and tear. Right now it looks clean and neat, but I can't guarantee that it will stay that way. Dimensions are always tricky in that everyone's going to measure it differently, but this is what I think so far, and it's actually quite similar to my leather double flap. The fact that the lining material is thin and that there's no additional support structure means that this bag is incredibly light, and I believe it can fit quite a bit more than my classic double flap. Later on I'll prepare a dedicated video showing you the difference. Ultimately, because tweed is a fragile material as much as, if not more than lambskin, I would only ever be comfortable carrying this bag off my shoulder or off my arm or keeping it handheld so that I can keep it close to my body and sheltered by my body. I don't ever anticipate wearing this bag off a single chain at my hip because I am concerned that it'll keep bumping and grinding, which would wear away long term at the fibers of the tweed. I bought my bag from the Canadian luxury reseller website Love That Bag. I really enjoy how transparent they are in terms of recording signs of use and also how easy to understand and navigate their content is. So unlike my failed attempt last year with Japanese eBay, this time there were no nasty surprises. This bag is in the condition I expected, and aside from some minute details like the scent and the leather grain, it ultimately is aligned with the online description. For fellow Australians watching, one good news is that Canadian currency is actually very similar to our dollar, so you get accurate financial perspective when you're browsing. And Love That Bag by default will underquote the value of your bag, so you don't pay extra taxes at customs. I didn't even have to ask for this service, they just offered it automatically. So again, no extra nasty surprises after you've committed to purchase. Another interesting feature is that Love That Bag offers a 3-month layaway with 0 interest. This means that I paid 30% plus the shipping fee to reserve this bag as mine, and then I had 3 months to pay off the value of it. I could decide when and what amount per month they were going to debit. Of course, this means you can't receive the bag until it's 100% paid off, which can take 3 to 4 months. But I actually really enjoyed that because it spaces out my purchases so that I can't just jump onto the next purchase, which I find to be quite dangerous and spontaneous. So this way, this helps me to stay in control and pace and save for what I have planned next. This bag is pre-loved mint condition, came with the original gift packaging and was listed on sale on their website. It was 2,200 Canadian with $50 for express international shipping. This converted to about 2,256 Australian dollars, which is a price I'm really happy about. I think it's a great fair price for authentic Chanel in near new condition. Time and time again, my subscribers know my motto when it comes to Chanel. As perfect and as stunning as their classics are, I feel equally frustrated that owning a Chanel flat bag makes me look like a carbon copy of everyone else, especially because of the popularity of superfakes. As a collector and architect who appreciates design, my collection would feel like it has a massive hole if I didn't own the Chanel flat bag. Yet, as a style enthusiast who likes to have a unique identity, what value do I get in paying a premium for a bag that just makes me look mainstream? This is where I feel my Tweed Flap Bag offers solace and a solution to my dilemma. On one hand, it's classic and iconic, that must-have silhouette and that unforgettable turnlock branding. On the other hand, it's daring and loud. It shows that I'm not afraid to take risks with my style and break convention. The tweed adds beautiful texture to any outfit. The blue leather is fresh and youthful. The silver hardware adds an elegant touch. Through this tweed bag, I'm part of the Chanel family and Chanel legacy, but I'm also uniquely me. At first glance, you would think that the eye-catching pattern and primary color limits this bag only to casual occasions. However, since tweed is a luxurious material, I can definitely see myself styling it up with some heels and feminine dresses, as delicate fabrics reference one another. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I styled this bag to a wedding. In general, Chanel fabric bags are at a lower price range compared to their leather counterparts. I do believe this is fair, as fabric is less durable against wear and tear, and also, I presume, harder to repair if it ever gets damaged. If you adore the flat bag style but are struggling to keep up with Chanel's biannual price hikes on their leather classics, tweed can be an attractive alternative for the financial saving. Since tweed is injected with personality and flair, it does better suit someone who has a bolder sense of style and is comfortable with a bag which demands attention compared to simply complementing your outfit. Even though there is a thin double lining, the tweed bag can feel a lot flimsier than the heavily structured leather counterpart, especially when it's not stuffed. From that perspective, as I mentioned with my Hermes Birkin, to stop unsightly bulges, I do plan on always carrying stuffing with me to keep this bag as full as possible to prevent sagging and creasing. This may not suit you, and if you don't want to carry stuffing all the time mixed in with your wallet and with your keys, be aware that your tweed bag will likely crumple, which can look quite sad and cheap. It's not a matter of quality since the lining is well made, it's just that the lining is too thin to give the bag the level of structural support that it needs. This flimsy feeling comes across most when you try to operate the turn lock. You can feel the hardware piece pivoting up and down in the fabric like a toggle. Even though it's easier for you to open and close the bag, it feels absurd, like your bag has super thin skin flapping about. When it comes to bags, I'm a huge fan of gold hardware, but when it comes to jewelry, I'm an equal fan of both. One reason being that silver is just more affordable. So I'm excited to say that for my 11th handbag, it's my first official silver hardware, which addresses a massive hole in my wardrobe as there's finally consistency with my jewelry collection. Silver hardware pairs perfectly with silver and white gold jewelry pieces. Another factor worth considering is Chanel's revised repair policy as of 2015. They declare that for bags older than 5 years, they no longer offer two services, refinishing and refurbishing. The former has nothing to do with tweed bags because it's about leather pigmentation, but the latter service, which is a complete overhaul including hardware changes and stitching, is worth considering. This means that if you're interested in buying tweed and pre-loved tweed, be very, very careful to buy it in tip-top condition because likely you can't run to Chanel for repairs. I've heard luxe collectors say amazing things about Leather Surgeons, an American third-party repair service, but whether or not they work with fabric, I'm not entirely sure. So if you have the answer, please share in the comments below. The last factor I want to mention is that this was my first time buying luxury on a zero interest payment plan. I really enjoyed it because it encouraged me to be financially responsible and also mentally meant that I was not window shopping for the 4 months where I was paying off this bag. However, be aware that if you're buying from overseas in different currency, the fluctuating dollar can mean that you end up paying a different amount from what you originally signed up for. For example, from the moment I paid my first amount on this bag up until today, the Australian dollar has been constantly falling. So as a result, I ended up paying an extra $15 for this bag over the 4 months compared to if I had just paid for the bag in full at the beginning. Of course, the international market can always work in the opposite direction and your dollar could rise, which in that case means you would pay less than what you signed up for. So it's a bit of a gamble. If you already baby your handbags, be prepared to super baby your tweed bag and make sure you're ready for that level of mental and physical commitment as it can be exhausting. If that's not you and you like a bag that you can wear out, accidentally bash around and not cry over, then I do recommend you stay clear of fabric bags. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me today for my Chanel Tweed Flap review. I really hope you found it useful or interesting. It's a really unique bag. It's packed with personality. It injects a lot of interest into your outfit, but beware the much higher care requirements. Next month, I'm excited to share with you my first ever Devu handbag. It's in a dream color combination that I have spent 4 years searching for. So I can't wait to talk to you about it. Wish you all have a great month. See you again soon.